Hello, John. Today we're going to talk about the Irish Olympic teams. If you want to go ahead there and talk to us about it.
Hello, Oliver. I guess the Irish Olympic teams, the one in Brazil, and then the Irish Olympic team in South Korea called the Winter Olympics. But we'll talk about just the first thing, the Irish Olympic team. There was an article just recently in the Catholic Times it was dated the 2nd of February this year, 2018, and it referred to Chaplins that was with the Olympic teams, and something that heretofore I would have I think might have been with Irish teams in the past as well. There was Chaplins with Poland, Italy, Germany, Austria, and etc. and other teams to enter into the Olympic Village and be in the Olympic. Were allowed to be in that by the International Olympic Committee. Now, they also worked for the construction of a chapel inside the Olympic Village after receiving funding from Advenius in a German foundation. Now, this article was reported by a sports organiser in the Vatican who was trying to bring sport into the sport and the Catholic faith as well. So there was chaplains for those major teams who won gold medals. We had an Olympic team in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and if I remember rightly, we did videos about it in which the president of the Irish Olympic team was arrested by the Brazilian authorities and incarcerated in a jail and charged with offences that very difficult to understand what he was being charged with. And likewise, another Irish man was also arrested at the same time and incarcerated in the jail and had to pay big money to get out on bail and to be released. The same Olympics in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, the sports minister, to his eternal shame, Shane Ross, scuttled back here to Dublin instead of supporting the two people that was jailed by the Brazilians and looking for their immediate release. Scuttled back here and looked for an inquiry or something to be launched into these two men and what they had done. Completely against what he should have been doing, which was supporting these people, and they were innocent, as it turns out. Now, that was the Olympic team. Was there a chaplain with the Olympic team? We didn't hear of a chaplain, and I have my grave doubts if there was. So if there wasn't, why wasn't there?
For people that don't know, what do you mean by chaplain?
Well, it's usually a priest, a Catholic priest, because the majority of the athletes would have been Catholics. But a Catholic priest and maybe a Protestant minister if there was Protestant members. And that was to give them some moral support because when they're in these competitions and they're in another country, they can often have needs for something by way of spiritual guidance or some help in some areas that they might be suffering from or that they might be anxious about. So the chaplain puts things in context, that it's not always about winning, it's about taking part, isn't it? Same in a football team, it's about taking part. But chaplains played a very important role in the teams I'm after mentioning, including other teams, but very well known teams like the Germans and the Polish and the Italians and the Austrians. So Ireland was always considered a Catholic and a Christian country, sending missionaries abroad, so it would have been natural to think that there would have been a chaplain, but I don't believe that there was. Another example of the pushing the church aside by the powers that be. So that's the business about the Irish Olympic team in Brazil, what occurred there. Now there's the Winter Olympics taking place in South Korea, in their capital Seoul, whatever it's called. Now, I believe most of the members of that team were not born in Ireland. They're second or third generation Irish from the USA, and of course they come last in everything that they took part in, and apparently are there for the enjoyment of the what's going on in there, and to see the sights, etc. So really, why they should be called an Irish Olympic team is stretching credibility a bit far. You expect an Irish Olympic team to be Irish born and trained. Now they're sliding down mountains and doing somersaults as they do. It's the most peculiar looking sport that I've ever seen. Not one that I particularly like, though. I believe people love sliding down mountains and perhaps breaking their neck or ankle or something like that, because they often do, and wind up in hospital. It's quite a dangerous sport, and not alone is it a dangerous sport, but when I was in the life insurance business, you generally didn't insure them because the chances of them having serious accidents was pretty high. The same as you didn't go into much for ones that were into hang gliding. So this is an example of the Winter Olympics, and I wonder, have they got a chaplain?
Does the Winter Olympics, the Irish team, do they have the backing of the Irish government?
Well, I presume they have the financial backing. We haven't heard that narrative, but the Winter Olympic, the Irish Winter Olympic team is quite substantial. When I saw them, there seemed to be about 40 or 50 in the entourage. What they're all there for is a mystery to me, considering that there's actually, if there's even one Irish competitor, I'd love to hear it. But as far as I know, they're all American born, and their grandfather or great grandfather might have been Irish. They're not really Irish in the sense of the word of being born in this country. So I think that's stretching the calling them an Irish team a bit far, considering they've done so badly.
Is it better than having no team at all?
Well, I think it is, because we don't have people here, as far as I know, that compete in a meaningful way in this business of sliding down mountains and doing somersaults as they do, and a very dangerous looking sport. So I'm not aware that they're good at that. And so if we're not good at that, there's no point in having a team there at vast expense. Whoever is paying for it, obviously the government, or somebody is paying, probably the taxpayer is paying for it, ultimately, and they don't represent me, I'm afraid.
Okay. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.